Hello everyone, my name is Chip Boaz and I want to welcome you to episode number 6 of the Audio Journal, the place where you get to know the face behind the bass. I have had a busy week, and in a good way, of course, because I've gotten to do so much music that I have been sharing with you. I hope you've gotten a chance to check out my latest performance video. It's a bass duet version of a Latin jazz tune called Obsession. One of my goals in 2020 was to get back to my roots musically. And a big piece of that is revisiting Latin jazz because that has been such a big part of my musical development. This is a tune that I have played so many times and I have loved for so many years. It was really fun to put it together with my upright and my electric and do some things. You can find that on my YouTube channel or Facebook or any of the places. Check it out and let me know what you think about that. I also got to put together my free MP3 this week for members of the Boaz Brigade out there. It was a audio from one of my performance videos from a few weeks ago, another Latin jazz classic that I love playing, a tune called Perdido, which I did in a bass duet format as well. So remember, members of the Boaz Brigade get a free MP3 every week, as well as lots of news and conversation with me. So if you're interested, please sign up in the comments below. You can find a link and you can be part of that very special group of people that I like to call the Boaz Brigade. So I've also been getting ready for a couple of gigs that I have coming up that I'm really excited about. In fact, next week on Wednesday night, I'm going to be playing at the Fern Bar in Sebastopol here in Sonoma County, California. And it's a beautiful venue that I've been to many times to listen to music, but I haven't gotten a chance to play there yet. So I'm really excited. Next Wednesday night, I'll be there playing in a duet setting with my good friend, pianist and vocalist Amanda Adelman. And we'll be playing a lot of my music, as well as some standards, some Latin jazz. You might hear Obsession that night, as well as some other stuff. So if you're in the area, please come check it out. I'll be playing from 7:30 to 10 that night. And then at the end of the month, I'm going to be playing here in Petaluma, California at a place called Pongo's. They have amazing Thai food that I'd love for you to come and give a taste and hear some music that night too. That'll also be a duet night, but I might have some special guests that night. You never know. More info coming your way soon. So if you're around in the area, please come and check out either of those events. You know, yes, I'm playing their gigs for me, but I like to think of them more as meetups for the Boaz Brigade, because it's fun for me to get out and play music, but it becomes amazing when I get to hang out with those members of the Boaz Brigade on the breaks and before the show and whatnot. So please come on out and say hi and maybe meet each other too. Let's get this whole community thing happening around music and have some fun with it. I had a great live stream last Sunday. It was kind of funny because it was Super Bowl Sunday, so maybe it was a little quiet out there, but it seems like a lot of you got to check it out. In retrospect, that's up on my Facebook page. I love doing those. It's so fun because conversations happen and music happens, and it's a really good thing. I won't be having a live stream this weekend, but I'll be back on Sunday, February 16th with my next live stream concert. And the good news is that the week after that, I have a week off of work, so you might get a couple of pop-up live streams. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to be spontaneous about the whole thing, but I'll definitely be there on Facebook on Sunday, February 16th at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. So please come on by and hang out with me. So I wanted to talk about something today that I have struggled with in the past, but it's also something that I see a lot out there in the music world, but also just in general in life. And that is the idea of having trouble getting started with a new project. And believe me, I get that. As someone who juggles a lot of different things, when the idea of starting something new sometimes is a lot. It's pretty huge. And there have been times in the past where I just push it and push it and push it until, it's so much time has passed. And I really look back and wish, boy, I wish I had started this sooner. And I see this so much that I just want to reflect and think about why I have done that and why we as people do that sometimes, because it's so funny. Once the process is rolling, you're having a great time and things are feeling good and you just go with it. But it's that dragging your feet to get started that really can hang you up. Now, I think there are a lot of reasons behind this. I think maybe a big one is overwhelm. And I'm going to save that topic for another episode because I think that's a big one in itself. Again, as someone who juggles a lot, I have a lot to say about being overwhelmed. So I'm going to save that for another day. But I think that another big issue is that fear of failure that we all feel sometimes. And, I really think that that's unfortunate because we have such an unhealthy relationship with failure in our culture. Failure is something that we laugh at. Failure is something that we make fun of. Failure is something that we shame other people for. That's an issue. And as a result of all those things, failure is something that we dread. So sometimes that fear of failure is so big that we just don't do something instead of risk failing. Now, there's two things that come to mind when I think about that, kind of based on my experience. First is, why are the stakes so high? I mean, really, with most things that we do in life, they may be important to us emotionally, they may be important to us in our lifestyle, whatever that is. But in reality, most of these things that we're afraid to fail at, that we're afraid to get started on, they're not life or death, right? So why are the stakes so high? I think music is a really great example. I can't tell you how many people in the world have told me, oh, I can't do music. Well, that's a falsity. They could if they just tried, right? And they dedicated some time on it. It's that fear of putting themselves into it and failing. And really, what's the big deal? So what if you play music and you hit some wrong notes or you can't play as well as someone else? Why are the stakes so high? Well, it comes down to that fear of failure. But here's the reality. Failure is not something that we should be shaming people for. Failure is something that we should be celebrating and we should be embracing. Because every time you fail, you learn and you grow and you become better than you were before. If we really embrace that mindset of try something new, fail, reflect, see what you could do differently, and then try again, we would have so many people doing amazing things. I can't tell you how many times in my life I have tried something and I've fallen flat on my face. I could talk about music. I could talk about the whole gamut of things I have run in my life. So many times I have run into a brick wall and found myself feeling failure. But the thing that has allowed me to progress on something like my bass or something as a composer, a performer, is that I've taken the time to look back and grow. And when I did that, I became better and I became more comfortable with that idea of failure. So I encourage you to try something new this week and fall flat on your face. I encourage you to take the risk, get something started, and stumble and fall. And then I encourage you to look back on that and reflect and say, what could I do differently? How could I grow? And then I encourage you to try again. I understand, especially in our culture, that's not an easy thing to do. But from life experience, I can tell you, the more comfortable you get with that, the easier it is to expand yourself, do new things, and really make the world a better place. And at the end of the day, isn't that what we all want? So think about it. And if you have thoughts on that, if you have ideas, if you have experiences where you failed and you want to share that with us and how you grew from that and thoughts about the whole process, please send them my way. You can send me a message to chip@chipboazmusic.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any of those places, and let me know what you think. What is it that has stopped you in the past from getting started on a new project? Or what's that thing that got you going, right? Where did you stumble? How did you grow? I want to know, and I'd love to share it on the show and let other people be inspired by that as well. So send me a line and let me know what your thoughts are about getting started and the fear of failure. So I wanted to talk about my inspiring person of the week. And I actually want to branch out to two inspiring people this week because there was some pretty powerful performances past week. Now, it's funny, I was talking at the top of the show that I was doing a live stream this past Sunday on Super Bowl Sunday. And I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not a big sports guy. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I'm not I don't follow football at all. But, I'm aware of what's going on around it. And so I was really thrilled to hear about the halftime show after that. Now, I'm going to be honest, I haven't been a big fan of the big kind of over-the-top halftime show that we have seen so many times throughout the year on the Super Bowl. But I thought this year was pretty special, and I wanted to give props to and nominate as my inspiring people of the week this week, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, who not only gave a pretty outstanding performance, but this was so important on so many levels. This was the first time Latinas had been featured in the halftime show as a superstar. And they made some powerful statements about culture and to a massive audience that was brave, that was important, work to be done. To hear things like salsa rhythms, to hear music sung in Spanish, to see all of these cultural traditions happening on stage at the Super Bowl, which in my opinion, and I know people from all walks of life watch the Super Bowl, but I really consider the event really a white male focused event. To see these two women making such powerful statements was really strong, especially in the era we are in right now. To see Jennifer Lopez come out wearing a Puerto Rican flag that on one side had the United States flag, one side had the Puerto Rican flag. Big statement to our country, to our government who has not supported Puerto Rico in the hurricane devastation. To see her 11-year-old daughter on stage with her singing Born in the USA while she was wearing the Puerto Rican flag. Powerful stuff. To the fact that J-Lo's daughter was there on stage with her, I thought was super cool. It was a flag of pride to be singing in Spanish, to be doing all of that, and to do that to an audience that, as we've seen from some of the rebuttals on Twitter and you name it, there have been some very unfortunate and racist comments made back to them. I salute you, Shakira, J-Lo. You are doing important work. I'm not a huge fan of the big pop music spectacular, but this one was important. So thank you to both of you to putting it on. I applaud you in a big way. The question of the week, well, I'll get to this one in a minute because I'm really excited about it. But I want to share last week's question of the week. I talked about last week, what food would you have if it was your last meal? And remember, I was going for that super burrito. But I put the question out to the Boaz Brigade this past week, and I got a response from Dan Wilkins. This one's good, but be ready. You're going to be hungry. Dan says, it would have to be a nice, juicy ribeye, garlic Parmesan mashed potatoes, tender asparagus, and of course, all the Maomi Pinot Noir I could sip. Nice stuff, right? Oh my goodness, garlic Parmesan mashed potatoes. I feel like pausing the video right now and go getting something to eat. That sounds delicious. It sounds like you are going to dine well, Dan. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for being an important member of the Boaz Brigade. This week's question kind of is a reflective one. And it asks, what did you want to be when you grew up? So when you were younger, maybe you wanted to be what you are now, or maybe you had other dreams. What were they? Well, I can tell you, I remember vividly, I wanted to draw comic books so bad. I remember getting every month in the mail the great Marvel run of Star Wars comics. I remember reading a Godzilla comic book that Marvel put out every month. I was big into the superhero thing, and I thought that would be the coolest thing in the world to draw comic books. So I would sit in my room and draw, whether it was pictures of imaginary heroes. I would actually draw comic books with storylines and put those out. And it was a big passion of mine, and I really thought that that's what I would be doing. Well, then along comes the bass, right? And my passion went a different direction. But it's really funny because that was such an ingrained part of me as a young person. It's something that's really stuck with me. I'm still a huge comic book fan, and I still read. I think we've talked about this when I talk about what would your superpower be. But I'm a big Marvel guy. I still read a lot of those books. Honestly, I don't think that I would really be a great artist for comic books. That's not really where I want to put my time these days. But you know what? I would love to write storylines for comic books and collaborate with an artist to put together a series of graphic novels. I've got this great idea for a story about this humble lad who drives around in his Prius making the world a better place with his Call of U base. I don't know, it just sounds like it would be a fun and wacky adventure. If there's any artists out there, let me know. I would love to collaborate. And eventually I wanted to be a rock and roll star, and that's what got me playing music, first guitar and later bass. And here I am now, just a humble jazz guy playing my bass, right? So it's funny how life curves, but it's funny the things that inspire us at a young age. So if you we all did, right? Share what your dream was when you were a young person and let me know. You can send me a message to chip@chipboasmusic.com. You can send me a message on any of the socials and I'll get back to you. And I would love to share it on next week's show and let the world know what your dreams were. Dream big, folks. Well, I think that wraps it up a bit for this week. So I wanted to remind you, if you would like to get a free exclusive MP3 download from me every week, you want to be part of the special group of people, please sign up to join the Boaz Brigade. I've got a link down here in my mailing list. It is my mailing list. I've got a link down here to sign up, and I'd love to have you join that group and get all of the benefits of that. So until next time, folks, I look forward to doing all the music over the weekend, interacting with all of you. Enjoy the music. I will talk to you next week.